She was not like that in May.
September.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, Kanani has, she's admitted to me a lot about her past, which had led her to have like a really, some psychological unwellness anyway. Like, this is her words to me. Like, we have talked about this as a group, that she was raped by her brothers when she was like 9 years old. That she had an older brother drug dealer who sold cocaine, and she was doing cocaine regularly by the time she was 9 or 10 years old, forced to have sex with her older brother's friends when she was like 10, 11 years old. She talks about how her parents abused her, how she went to her second grade teacher and told her teacher that her parents were locking her in the closet and abusing her.
These are discussions she had with you about her mental well-being?
Her past.
Okay.
Which I think...
Was that in relation to sort of her
totally. I think
mental
and
emotional health?
I think it was the foundation of her breakdown. The foundation of her breakdown and the mental unwellness began in her childhood, not like when she was like, 20 years old. Like these seeds were already sown by the people that cared for her, and I remember her saying things like, yeah, my brother's penises were really small, so it wasn't that bad being raped by them. Like things like that. She would give details about these circumstances, details about being locked in a closet by her parents, details about using cocaine regularly. So I think that the psychological unwellness and the foundation of mental instability, like she was already, these were demons that were planted in her a long time ago.
Let me ask you, did you ever see anyone in the group or yourself be physically violent toward her?
No. And now I did carry her across the street. That's the only time I ever touched Kanani. Was that one time carrying her across the street to get her out of the road so we don't get hit by a car.
Okay.
That was the only time. Now I saw Kanani be violent towards everybody in the group.
Okay.
I saw her be aggressive, but not when it would be like a total snap like this. And so, do you want to finish because I'd like to tell about another day.
Sure. Well, let's. I asked you when the first time is that you kind of saw her exhibiting any behaviors, and you said September of 2020.
Yes.
And then you had referenced specifically November 25th as being, in your mind, some pivotal date that.
It was a hugely pivotal date.
Changed things.
From my observation of her.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
and the things that she was saying, like that woman. There was a woman who pulled off on the side of the road to kind of make whatever was happening there her business. She was drunk, belligerent, she assaulted me and Peggy and Z. This was like a very disturbed woman. And she...
Is this when you're carrying Chloe?
No. I was carrying her across the road, and a woman who lived in the apartment complex was pulling out at the time. And she was like, is everything okay? And I was like, yeah, she's just having a panic attack. I'm going to carry her back to the house to get her out of the road so no one gets hurt. And the woman who lived in the apartment complex where we were said, she said, I see, and if you need any help, if you need anything, just let me know. Okay? So that was the woman who lived there. Now, this woman who pulled in off the side of the road was just some stranger, who she pulled off on the side of the road, and Kawani ran over to her car and was like, I need to call my mom. That's what she started saying then. That's just like a random thing. She hadn't talked about calling her mom at all. That's just something that came out of her, just like some random thought or memory or whatever it was that was like just random that day. After she decided that she needed to run in the middle of the street, we got her back over to the house, and this random, complete stranger pulled inside this apartment complex to make this her business, like I say, rudely and belligerently. And Kawani started going to her and saying, I need to call my mom.
Okay.
And so...
Had she asked to call her mom up until that point?
No.
Okay.
Like I said, this was just like something that just started coming out of her. It's like, she's just like, all of a sudden, she's just like, I need to call my mom. She's like saying this. And me and C and Shaylig and Peggy are all standing around. Shaylig's holding the baby. We're all like, let her call her mom.
Okay. And
let her call her mom. No, she didn't, because this woman started being belligerent and jumping out of the car, and Kanani started to come back into herself. You could see it in her eyes that she realized that this woman was a danger to her, and the woman started screaming about how we're all going to jail, and she's going to call the cops and get the baby taken from her, and all of these things. Like, I mean, these completely just this belligerence, you know, like.
So this was a passerby that
Just a
intervened when
passerby.
she saw you with Chloe,
That's
with
right.
Kanani.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
And so what happened after that?
Gosh, a whole scene happened after that. She was started being verbally abusive to everyone.
Who's she? Who are you referring to?
This woman named Sandra Torres.
That's the woman that stopped?
That's the woman that stopped.
Okay.
Yeah. And she was like threatening us. Like, she threatened, I have a gun in my car right now, I'll shoot you and kill you and all this stuff. Her breath, was rank of alcohol, you know. So she's just this random drunk lady who apparently had a gun, and was, there's like this whole scene that unfolded. But I think that it's I think the most important thing to take away from that day, and why I mentioned it, is because after that day, after she was screaming at Kanani and Z that she's going to get the baby taken away, so she pulls over on the side of the road, and like her story is to be like this vigilante to help this woman who's being kidnapped and blah blah blah. She gets across the road. This woman who's sitting right there was screaming about how she wanted to call her mom. All of the other individuals said, let her call her mom. Simple. Let her call her mom. No one's objecting to this. The only reason why we just had this whole scene is because she's like endangering herself and other individuals. Let her call her mom. Sandra Torres makes this into like, we're all very calm, you know, at this point. Like, we're like, okay, we got her out of the road. That was like our goal. You know, we got her out of the road, and now we're just calm, waiting for Kanani to calm down. Whatever conversations, whatever care we need to show her to get her back into a calm place, we would do. And this woman is just like aggravating this situation, you know, with her own, like, you know, drama. And she threatened to have the baby taken away, and that she was going to kill us. And it was only after that day that there was anything in Kanani's delusional speak. You know, like I said, we have to define what is, you know, in her delusional speak, in her blabbering, when she would go outside of her mind, outside of herself, and her eyes would change, and she'd start to be erratic and sometimes violent. That was the first time ever after that day that she said anything in those states about the baby.
And after that incident, what was it that she said about the baby?
It started as, I need to protect the baby.
Okay.
Like, the baby's in danger. The baby's in danger. Something's going to happen to the baby. And she was also talking about that woman saying that she was going to kill us. Like that, it got inside of her head somehow from this woman about the baby's in danger and all of this stuff. You know, like, it was a really dramatic shift.
So as it relates to that dramatic shift that you just described and her feelings about Hannah,
yes,
and the baby,
that's why I mentioned it.
Was it always she had to protect Hannah?
Those were the things that I heard her saying, that she needed to, the baby was in danger, and, you know, like, the debate, and then it started to develop after day, because this, you know, Nimsy died like less than 2 weeks after that.
Okay.
You know?
And so, did she ever articulate who she thought the baby was in danger from?
Not really.
Okay.
No.
But in terms of the things she was saying, it was a paranoia of her needing to protect Hannah.
Yeah, and then there was talk about how the baby is going to die. Like,
Okay.
I heard her say that. I never heard her say, I'm going to hurt the baby. I never heard her say, I'm going to kill the baby. I never heard her say anything like that. I did hear her say, the baby's going to die, I have to protect her.
Okay. And when she said the baby's going to die, it was in the context of her role to make sure she
protect
didn't.
this child, yeah.
Okay.
Which it was still like coming out in this like really delusional, paranoid, schizophrenic, whatever you want to label these things, type of way, manic. Like, she was having real struggles, and it was coming out in this way. But before that day, there was never any there was never any like mention of the baby in her delusions. Like it was about herself, like that, you know, evil was after her, and that I heard her talk about hurting herself a lot.
Okay.
I heard her talk about committing suicide. I
So-
watched her injure herself by punching herself in the face many times. And, you know, I've watched her be violent towards everyone else, never towards the baby. And there was never even mention of the baby until that day.
Okay. So you said prior to that day where Sandra Torres said the baby's going to get taken away, then she started having delusions or paranoia about protecting Hannah.
She did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Prior to that, you just mentioned a second ago that she had delusions or paranoia, or whatever word you want to use, related to her.
Sure.
What were her manifestations related to her that you perceived to be some type of mental health related incident? What types of things would she say?